Introducing the Buyer Vision Report, a smarter way to assess clients. This is what you'll see when a client shares their report. It includes total monthly debt, a breakdown of credit types, and any late or derogatory marks. Clients can share their Buyer Vision Report in just a few clicks. Starting from their dashboard, they can refresh it anytime to reflect their most current information. And if they have questions, their loan officer is just a message away. You can access the Buyer Vision Report from your admin portal. It's designed for quick review, showing total debt, credit types, and any late or derogatory marks. A simple way to assess where your client stands before moving forward. Make informed decisions without wasting time or money. More insight, less spend, smarter pipeline.
Hey guys, welcome to our last word, a Chrisman Commentary show. It's the Friday before the Memorial Day weekend. We're coming hot off of New York Secondary. Of the four of us, I was the only one that wasn't there, so I'm looking forward to getting caught up. But before we get into it, hey, if you're watching and you want your company highlighted on the last word, just like the FinLocker product was just highlighted as we open the show, reach out to Robbie Chrisman or go to the Chrisman Commentary website. There's a tab for advertising, and you could be promoted and highlighted on the last word, a Chrisman Commentary show. Happy Friday, guys.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Brian View.
We are here. I am wearing a hat. I'm doing some in between chores. So I just did the spring clean on the lower level windows. You know, it's like could have hired it out, but it's kind of fun to put the ear pods on and just blast the windows with Windex and water. So here we are.
What is in your AirPods, Brian, when you're blasting the music?
Oh, nothing exciting today. Today I was listening to the Pat McAfee show. It's a sports podcast.
Yeah.
And
I like that guy.
Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, passed away this week. So it was kind of a tribute to Mr. Irsay. And so Pat had a bunch of his friends and family on. It's a cool little thing.
Love that.
So guys, let's get a little recap on New York Secondary. Courtney, I know you buzzed in, buzzed out. You were there for the
Hot minute.
the wine event Sunday night. Let's start with you. What was your take on at least one day in New York City?
One day in New York City. I still can't emotionally get my head, arms, heart around Times Square. Love you, Manhattan. Times Square, you're rough on me. The CMG Foundation wine event, which benefited the MBA Foundation that supports sick children, their families with their mortgage payment.
Opens doors.
Opens doors. That's what it is. I knew it was an S. It's kind of like the extra S in there. Opens doors. And the Gary Sinise Foundation, which I thought it was Gary Sinise before we went there, but I was corrected. Either way, really normal guy. Great event. At the event, they raised over $1 million, which was really kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
It was next level. There was a lot of who's who in mortgage places there. A lot of big CMG supporters. Shout out Loretta Aspen Grove and Proctor, who all came out from the servicing side from a support perspective. But, you know, a lot of people got cheaper vacations than they would normally pay for. And a lot of people ate good food and took cool selfies. And I don't know, I think that it's nice to gather in support of that stuff instead of maybe a lot of the other. But I know that my other friends went to the New York Stock Exchange and heard from Bill Pulte. So I think that they will probably have more industry related stuff, but really, really great event. Definitely going to happen again next year. And I think that, if you're starting at 1.3 million, you can only go up from there.
Right.
I got to chime in and say that the event was really cool, and it was great to be able to join in with those teams. And I think the final number was like $1,374,000 for funds raised that night. Like it's a big number. And
big number.
One of the things about opens doors that I think a lot of people don't always realize is there's no cost to it.
Right.
That MBA picks up that cost. So 100% of the money goes to families where their kids are having horrible illnesses, and it pays their mortgage or their rent so that they're not having to worry about it. And then, of course, the Gary Sinise Foundation, close to my heart, helping wounded veterans with having mortgage-free homes. Like, it's just such a cool thing to do. And it was a great venue. You know, the CMG Foundation, CMG team did a fabulous job of putting it on. And it's always fun to see everybody get dressed up. People were not in their banker blue suits. They were dressed up.
Yeah, they were in sparkle.
Right? It was sparkly. And it was really a good time to see folks and feel the energy. It kind of feels like the old days, if you will, where people are excited and not just talking about, well, this is what the 10-year did, and can you believe this is what happened? And then we had to wake up and go to the real world the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kicking off the conference with that event is a great, like, foundational mindset, you know, for the attendees, because, you know, at the end of the day, yes, we're all in it for profit, but, you know, if you peel back the onion, we're all here to really put people in homes and keep people in homes and help families build wealth. So it's just I love the energy. Does Chris still get up there and really kind of drive it home?
Yeah, you know, Chris is one of one. And I know we're all one of one, but let me just say that Chris George is one of one. But he uses his magic for good. I've seen it over and over again. And this, I mean, obviously these types of events, particularly at the Rainbow Room in Manhattan, you know, can't be pulled off without an enormous amount of support from the industry, but also there's an enormous team of people internally at CMG that, you know, worked toward getting that done. And it was very fun to see those folks dressed to the nines at the event, spotting for the auction. You know, they all had their hair and makeup done. And it really, it like was really, really run well, from the initial event to the wine situation to the dinner. It was cool. It was cool to be a part of. And hopefully there's enough shishi that next year tickets are, we sold out of tickets that people couldn't get a seat in the room.
That's why I stayed home.
Yeah. But, you know, hopefully next year we can have just as big of an impact. But yeah, Chris told a really, really funny story about how when he met Gary originally a long time ago, both Californians, both yada, yada, yada. Someone came up to their table and asked if he was Chris George instead of, are you Gary Sinise? So that was really, really funny. And it started the night off in only a way that Chris George could.
Love it.
Yeah, that Chris is a badass. He's definitely one of one. His son, AJ, and I are on the board of California MBA together. He's doing a lot of work on behalf of the industry. I've been to that Open Doors event a couple times, and CMG has really been leading from the front on that. I wasn't there. I had two events back to back with some vendor partners, but yeah, I heard the $1.4 million number, and it's always cool to see Lieutenant Dan up there. So Gary, one year Gary Sinise's band played. So I don't know if they played the other night or not.
Yeah,
but
that's like what he does. I mean, I don't. So the other funny thing was I took a picture and sent it to the woman that helps me take care of my life when I'm flying all around and all of these other things. And she's this sassy Colombian lady. And I was taking a picture of Chris. All of a sudden, she, like a psycho stalker, scrolled in all the way to Gary Sinise, took a screenshot of his face, sent it to me. He flies around and plays in this band everywhere for free. He has all of this. The Gary Sinise Foundation is basically his ADHD love of helping vets. And so he's like acquired a bunch of other foundations. Yeah, KP. It, like, to listen to him talk about all of those different things and the fact that he just like kind of walks around and plays bass and like hangs out with people. Like, I'm kind of like, geez, how do I become Lieutenant Dan? Sounds fun.
Well, you know what's cool is I loved our opening intro. That was a cool spot promo, Brian. I love that. I read on the Chrisman blog this morning that Zactus is they're doing it. Here we go, right here, over here.
There you go.
Zactus is our sponsor for today's show. I read in the Chrisman Commentary this morning, and I'd already had my hat laid out last night to wear. I'm on their inaugural customer advisory board, and we're a client and super happy. So it was good to see, all these great, partners of not just the industry, but also the last word. We got FinLocker, we got Zactus, we got CMG represented, Open Doors. We're rolling into Memorial Day weekend, in a good spot where we can remember those that have fallen. And, I think it would be remiss, not to mention that Memorial Day weekend is not just about those, who have fallen serving the U.S. military in battle, but anyone that's ever served in the U.S. military that is no longer here. And so it's going to be a nice 3-day weekend for us to go out and, pay respects and tribute those who served our U.S. military. So we are ending the week, the last word, in a good spot, so we can go out and remember what the weekend is all about.
So we got Lieutenant Dan. What about Corporal or Sergeant or Chief Pulte? What I heard Bill Pulte was pretty lively at secondary as well. What's the recap there on his talk, guys?
I'll go first. I mean, I was in a closed door meeting, which I cannot say anything about, especially because this is
just
media.
Us. Nobody else is watching. It's just us.
I know. I will just say the sentiment in the closed door meeting is that, he's obviously from the family that has a very large builder in Pulte Homes. He's a business person. He is a no nonsense person, and he gets stuff done. And he's cutting through a lot of red tape. And it was I'll just leave it at that. Now, what's out there and in the press, obviously they're taking a look at manufactured housing for home affordability. They're looking at the LLPAs, loan level price adjustments. So hope we can get a little bit better pricing out there for certain things. Loan amounts are way up since a lot of those LLPAs have been created. They're looking at insurance costs, title costs. He put FICO dead in his crosshairs and tanked their stock 25%. I mean, could you imagine if you just ripped out your little trader account and shorted that stock? You would have just crushed it. So even just buying a put. And so, I don't know that they can force a private company to lower their prices, which is what we all want. But there was a lot of bullet points talked about out there, and I feel like they're going to do some things. So I'm positive on it. I read in the Chrisman Commentary a long write-up about Bill Pulte this morning, and it highlighted like 10 things he's working on, which I think is great. It's like I don't know, like, how could you poo-poo that? We got someone who's active, he's out there, he's visible, he's talking, he's saying, I want to work on this, I want to work on that, and we're going to do this. And I think they're actually doing things. They said they saved $97 million. I talked about it on my LinkedIn post last night. The whole Chinese drywall BS we went through like a decade ago. There's still regulations about how to get drywall into homes. I mean, we you guys know I flip houses on the side with a buddy, and we just got through drywall and on phase on one of our houses, and it's a big phase because your home starts to take shape and people can walk through it and feel it. And there's a lot of red tape in ordering that. And with a wave of a pen, he got rid of some regulations. So he claims to have saved $97 million, which, I know everyone can poo-poo that too and go, we just raised our debt ceiling by up to $4 trillion and passed a $3.8 trillion budget. But $97 million is a lot of money. $150 billion is a lot of money, whatever Doge claims they did. I mean, it all adds up. It compounds over time. So I guess we'll just go broke as a nation, dead ass broke a little bit later until we really tackle entitlements. But I love when business people come into the government and they're like, they say what everyone has always said. What a mess. What a mess. What a bunch of inefficiency. This is our money. And we're going to do something about it. Even if it's, just little things here and there, like, doesn't everybody want that? Is there anybody that doesn't want that? I mean, I guess if you get fired and you can't find a new job, maybe you didn't want it. But I love his approach. No nonsense guy.
I'm leaving it for
no nonsense person.
No, well, I would say he is a guy, right? Like
yeah, he definitely.
I don't even know what I could say anymore without getting yelled at. So I'm just going to say I'm trying to do my best.
I mean, he's the guy, and I think it says a lot about the MBA that he's willing to show up in person and have the conversations. And it wasn't a Zoom call. He didn't send somebody else. He came and had face-to-face engagement with the group. And I don't know about you guys. I did not, other than the CMG event, I really didn't attend a bunch of parties. I went to 2 besides that. And, mostly just because I had meetings in those same locations. So I tried to do this conference a little differently and instead of running from meeting to meeting, which still happened a little bit, spend more time with the people that we needed to partner with. And I got the sentiment from a lot of folks that was where they were too, that the conversations are more about partnership and, hey, we've made it this far. We don't know where this ends, but we know it didn't end when we thought it was going to. We're not seeing the same regular cycles. And there are more in-depth conversations about how do we make the business work in any cycle. And I find that to be a very good thing. And who is it that Martha Stewart that says that? This is a good thing. And I'm at home, so I can have my little Martha Stewart saying on.
Did she say that from jail?
I don't think that's where she says it from. I think she said it when she's like, oh, like she turns out some like magic craft that looks like she spent 1 billion hours, and she's like, oh,
in jail. She was at Camp Cupcake.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think she said it right. She said it right after sharing the peace pipe with Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg. I was like, I kind of want to hang out with Snoop
That was
Dogg.
a contact high, Brian. Leave Martha alone. She's like the baddest baddie that ever did baddie in the history of female baddies. Like,
she's got street cred. She went to jail. She has got cred.
I feel like we need Snoop Dogg at the CMG wine event next year.
Oh,
we need him on the last word.
I think Robbie can arrange that.
You work on that. You work on that for us. But I think the sentiment was good, and just the fact that people are starting to really have some in-depth conversations around what partnership looks like. And I know, Brian, you've been that way for as long as I've ever known you, from wholesale relationships to where you are as a fintech partner, that it's not a vendor relationship, if you will. It's really about understanding people's business and how you grow. And those conversations held true from, the MI companies that we sat down with, to the fintech partners that we sat down with, to the aggregators, right? It's really about what does that look like and how do you go deep instead of just going wide. I don't need 100 partners. I need 10 or whatever the number is based on the size of your organization and what you're planning on doing. And I think that's a positive for where we are as an industry and how we move forward.
Yeah, as much of the gloom and doom that you can go and find about business and the industry and the market, blah, 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 blah. I was on a call on Tuesday morning. There was 100 loan officers on the call and 4 on a panel. These 4 loan officers, year to date, their volume's over 100 million, not in aggregate, individually. And they told, they each spent 5 to 10 minutes kind of talking about what they do, how they're doing it. They're not doing anything special. There's no secret sauce. They don't have any proprietary product or tech or anything. They're just literally rolling up their sleeves every day and getting after it. And, I think from there he is. Look at those guns.
I'm so weak right now.
My takeaway from that session was, first of all, I was inspired because it's like I was expecting and going into that call to hear about some crazy process and system, and no, it's just basic blocking and tackling. It's picking up the phone and making phone calls and talking to people and getting in rooms and showing up and being visible. And I think too many of us collectively, not us 4, but too many of us in the industry just kind of just look at the negative and get laser focused on that. We can't get out of our own way. And there's business out there that's getting done. It's just, we just got to get after it.
Salt and pepper on what Christy said. I think that I came from the legal profession to the mortgage profession. And I would say at the human level, I couldn't imagine a better industry to be in terms of people that are really willing to help people, but it's not, nobody's like paving that yellow brick road for you. And I like what you said there, Brian, too, about, there's business to be had out there. You just need to be able to have those conversations, come up with new ideas, be willing to be wrong. I've been trying to change things in mortgage servicing since dinosaurs ruled the earth. I even had, one of the people that I admire the most in the world in mortgage servicing pull me aside and tell me, you need to go back to the operating side. You're not asking, but that's what you need to do, because it's going to be really, really hard to sell what's in your head, because we just all want to do things the old way. And that's why I'm at CMG, right? And it's all by virtue of the folks around me. But Neil Sherman, and Jeff Weiserman, who are they're in the industry, they're on the default legal side. They pulled me aside in 2014, Brian, when we were all together, and said, you need to go participate.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that that's really, really important for everyone, right? That you do have to co-create with the industry, if you will. If you want to see things turn, whether it's, generating new business, finding new homeowner, whatever the case may be. And I think that those that aren't co-creating aren't making it.
Shout out.
It was almost capitalism, KP. Did you hear that? Look at, I got that close.
Well, I heard it's mercantilism was what I heard that is the phase that we're in right now. We're worrying about trades, and we're worrying about, setting up partners, which for us, it's vendor partners. It's, setting up exchanges of information and products and services to make our businesses better. And, just to dovetail to what Brian said, shout out to the origination channel. I mean, I got a Stratmore MBA peer group review data set that came out Q1. 81% of the business in Q1 was purchase business. Originators are winning. And they're, and especially, the ones that Brian was working with. And so I will say my big takeaway is a project I've been working on since the fall. We're going to have something, we're a fast follower. We're not like number one at this, but I got to tell you, AI voice, agentic voice doing sales work is the game changer. Because, Brian just said it. It's just making phone calls. It's providing value. But if you have a virtual assistant that can help you tee up, we have 800,000 plus records here. Hey, bot, call 800,000 people by next Friday. Like that just is never going to happen with the human workforce. But that AI assistant can help the human workforce. And so I've never thought that there would be, I never thought the NAR settlement would be this big game changer. I thought it was kind of just BS because it didn't really do anything at the local level. But I do actually think about 25% of our realtors and originators are going to get rolled out of this business when AI voice comes into it. I actually think that. And it's that good. And it's that good at setting appointments. It's that good at, talking to an elderly person and overcoming objections when most of us would be very respectful and say, okay, no problem, I'll just call you back. And then that loan never materializes. And so servicers are going to win with that. Originators are going to win with that. I think at scale, being able to do more of the basic work like that, it is coming. It's here. It's an absolute game changer. And, we're getting that much closer, at least in our walls, to rolling that out. So that was probably my biggest takeaway, other than, hearing all the data and IMB's lost money in Q1 and, all the stuff you read about and all that, but I do think that agentic AI will change the game for our industry.
Let me ask you this question, and this is for the group. So the biggest game changer would be if and when the regulatory environment changes and there no longer is a requirement to have a licensed individual do licensed tasks. That's going to happen.
I haven't seen any regulation.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen. Now, I don't know if it's inside of 5 or inside of 10 years, but it's going to happen because KP, what you just described with the work that these agentic agents, these AI agents can do, right? They don't get frustrated, right? They can be they're learning to be empathetic.
No bias.
Well,
Allegedly.
There's a debate there. It depends how they were trained.
Yeah, agreed.
But I mean, I think about, and I'm not saying that the entire, licensed population goes away. No chance at all. But I do think there's a sliver of consumers, even today, that could go through from start to finish on their own 100% with a machine, right? And maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10% or 15%, but that'll likely grow over time, especially when we get into these refi dips. Those are much easier transactions to process. There's less moving parts.
You can sell me on that, and that when I was thinking about your question, I can't think of a regulation that says a consumer has to talk to a human during the process, right? So
it does today.
It does. Well, you have to talk to someone licensed, and you can't license a bot. So if I'm going to ask for your social security number, if I'm going to ask for PII, other than just setting appointments, gathering a couple pieces of information, that is the regulation today. And in some states, the bot has to say, I'm Jesse, I'm a virtual assistant, working with Christy.
Yeah, we should do that. But today a borrower can go online and apply for the loan and not talk to a human, and they provide those things. So yes, it's in the name of an LO and the link gets sent out by an LO, but so I'm trying to imagine the world where that continues, but I just don't see licenses going away entirely, because I think they lose some control over the regulation of the individual versus the corporation.
I agree with that. I agree that if you're a human, because I guess pretty soon there'll be individuals that are non-human individuals. But if you're a human and you're a loan originator, I do think licensing will always exist, and there will always be some regulatory oversight over what that human does. Not that there wouldn't be regulation on what the non-human originators do, but the point being, you wouldn't have to associate a transaction with a human at some point.
I'll do a segue and kick it over to Courtney, because this is right in her wheelhouse. So, doing an online application is not as good of an experience for a consumer than having a conversation. And so, when you have a conversation with a really experienced originator or realtor, that has, it's just a better experience for the consumer. It's better conversion and everything. The AI voice bots having a conversation are better than 90% of salespeople out there at conversion. Think about that today, 90%. And so having a conversation, yes, licensing isn't going away, but what Brian is saying is a bot would fit into that licensing category. I don't know about that. I haven't, Brian, it's literally the first time anyone's even said that. I could see it, but an agentic AI having a full-blown conversation live in real time, going back and forth with a consumer, is a better experience than simply an online app. And millennials are a huge part of purchase business. I think they're number one on first-time home buyers. So they, like you said, they don't mind that. So Courtney, is that bot, is that in your wheelhouse for customer experience?
No. I mean, we're going live with the most modern servicing call center that exists. We've rejected all telephony that anybody else uses anywhere, and we're going all the way to the Amazons and all the folks. We're doing it right now. The big thing with all of this that everyone, even the technologists will say, or good technologists will say, is that go as far as you can with any of these things, but you always need a human in the loop. Those are the words, quote, human in the loop.
Exactly.
And I think here, that's what you would do at the end of the day. We already do it in mortgage servicing. You can have people underwrite files and get it all the way to a point where you can actually have a licensed individual go through and make sure that everything is good, if you will. I think that, I just think of olden days stacking order and, like these types of things, right? The idea is that you get it all the way to the place that you can so that the humans can be more efficient. I could also see a universe where if you had certain documented equity in a home in the HELOC scenario, HELOCs can get approved very fast, things like this, things where there's not really questions about creditworthiness or any of these other things where you could have less licensed, right, approvals. I think that I don't see, God, it's like saying like lawyers could go away too. I am gonna have to think about the licensing question a little while. But I mean, there's a lot of programs online where you can generate your own will and, do all of these other things now because of advancements in technology. I'm just excited to see the things that this is a positive view. I had a negative view and I texted Rick Sharga about it last week when Moody's marked the federal government down, joining the club. Rick Sharga and I had a really, really fun back and forth. And I was just like, no one's going to have a job and everybody's going to everything. And he reminded me lovingly, right? Everyone said no one was going to have a job when computers were born. Everyone said no one was going to have a job when the internet was born. And so my positive thought on all of this is, what are the coolest things that we're going to get to think about when we don't have to think about the easy stuff anymore? Like the fact that I even said stacking order and I got like a half smile out of everybody on this call, hopefully other people on the other side of this, screen as well, right? Like, oh my gosh, like if these simple basic things that go away, what happens next? And I do think that that's where quantum computing is going. And I do think that that's where all this other crazy stuff is. It's just, I hope that the humans that didn't have to think along the way know how to think when that happens, right? And that's my sincere hope. But human in the loop.
I love it.
Human in the loop and no more rubber thumbs, right? For those stacking orders, you'd have the rubber thumbs to underwrite.
Yeah.
Right. Or that sticky stuff, like not,
yes.
the
that's
fingers. Yes, the earwax.
Look at the comments. We got some firepower in there. We got some good peeps in there. Thanks for everyone getting involved. We appreciate it.
I was trying to keep up with that, but I was like a squirrel getting distracted, so I had to hide it. So, guys, great combo. Christy, enjoy Ryan Adams, not Brian Adams.
Not Brian.
Down at the Austin City limits. Courtney, keep your sweatshirt on. It's going to be cold here up in the Mountain State all weekend. KP, I'm sure we're going to look forward to see soccer and baseball on your feed over the weekend. Yeah, baseball's done. We have 2 flag football playoff games for my older girls next week. Shout girls. And they are girls, Courtney, because they're actually 12 and 10. And 2 soccer tournaments. My 8-year-old son and my 12-year-old daughter. We're balls deep in soccer this weekend. There you go. So, guys, we're going to have another example of a closeout here, advertisement as it takes us out. But if you're watching, which I know you are, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people that watch The Last Word. Maybe not all live, but I see the numbers climb like at weird hours of the night. If you're interested in being promoted on The Last Word, reach out to Robbie Chrisman. Again, go to ChrismanCommentary.com. Check out Robbie. He'll set you up. KP, Christy, Courtney, have a great long weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Welcome to Key Steps, the free financial fitness app that guides you through your home ownership journey. Registering for Key Steps is quick, simple, and secure. All you need is your unique invitation link from your loan officer or real estate agent. You might have received this link via email, text message, QR code, website, or even a social media post. Once you click on the invitation link, you'll be taken to your personalized Key Steps registration page. Here you'll find the details about what the Key Steps app offers, along with a banner featuring your trusted loan officer or real estate agent, reassuring you that you're registering with someone you know and trust. To begin your registration, click on one of the call to action buttons. If you're on a mobile device, simply enter your phone number and click Next to download the Key Steps app from the App Store or Google Play Store. After downloading, click Create Account and confirm your phone number to proceed. Now let's create your account. Start by entering your email address and